So before we dive into today's episode, we want to give a huge shout out to our amazing sponsor, Larkin Staffing Agency in New York City.
Yes. So Jules was part of my trauma when I
Yeah.
was just out of, residency, trying to look for a job. I mean, the time it takes to do that it's
Insurmountable.
yeah. And you have to do it because, once you finish residency, you want to have a plan
Yeah.
to have a job after.
Yeah.
So you have to do all of this while you're still working and learning and board studying
I was
and
just
all
going to
these
say
things.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to find a job, and that can be just complicated because you don't know like where you're applying. There's so many places to apply to.
And they're all different.
And yeah, they're all different. They all have different information, different
HRs.
requirements. Yeah, exactly. Don't even get me started on HR. And then not only do you have to find a job, but then you need to find your references. You need to schedule your interview, which most of the time I don't have time to do it unless it's the weekend.
Exactly.
But anyways, imagine if you were to have a place that could do it all for you.
That would have been great even with Mario. I saw him doing that too.
Exactly.
It was insane.
Yeah. So then on the flip side, it's also hard for employers to hire quality people and find candidates.
Yeah.
So it's just as hard on both sides.
Exactly. Quality people that have the requirements and the things that you need that are reliable, all those things, like just to process like everything. Because I can only imagine as an employer, like you put something out there in one of these job recruiting websites and the slew of applications that must come into your inbox.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you even handle that too on the
Yeah,
that
and
flip
how
side?
do you filter and
Right.
how do you find someone that's going to be right for the job? Because you also can't interview everyone.
Exactly.
But here comes our sponsors to help. Yeah. Larkin Staffing Agency is not just any staffing agency. They're a third generation, family owned, female led small business run by incredible mother daughter duos. With 87 years of experience under their belt, they have been cornerstones in the healthcare staffing industry, providing top notch candidates for a wide range of positions. Whether you're a teeny tiny private practice or a sprawling multi hospital healthcare system, Larkin Staffing Agency has got you covered. They specialize in staffing nurses, medical assistants, techs, office managers, and so much more. Their candidates are truly the best in the business, ensuring that your healthcare facility runs smoothly and efficiently. So if you're in the New York City area and looking to staff your office, don't wait. Head over to their website at larkinagencystaffing.com or shoot them an email at info@larkinagencystaffing.com for more information. Remember, whatever your staffing needs are, clearly you need to start looking with Larkin.
Absolutely. And honestly, I have been in contact with them and they are some of the nicest, friendliest people. They're very, very helpful. Just contact. I guarantee you will just be in awe with how nice everyone is there. Like they really are great people. So yeah, we wanted to shout them out because if you're listening to this and you have any know-how or you've ever even tried to look for a job in the healthcare
It's very difficult.
world, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
It's just a lot of responsibility too. And, and you might not, you need to look for somewhere where you're going to be happy and that perfect fit. And they really come in to
Help
do
you
all
out.
that legwork for you
Yeah.
and basically make you the most successful candidate.
They just help out that whole process out so much because you're already dealing with all the stress of having to look for a job and trying to mitigate all that anxiety of trying to find a job. And they are there to help you out with that, so you can't go wrong. Give them a look, contact them.
Again, at larkinagencystaffing.com, or you can email them at info@larkinagencystaffing.com.
Yeah. All right. So back to our episode.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to part 2 of birth control.
Here we are. We're going to finish it today.
Yeah, so if you are just tuning into this episode, just check out our first episode, which is part 1 of birth control. Birth control is a huge topic, so we tried to make it really concise, but even then, it's still a 2-part episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so today we're going to finish off part 1 of birth control.
Whoa.
Well, finish off, okay, just start part 2 to finish off birth control.
Guys, we're trying. Like, we're recording batch episodes today, so it's like we're here. We're here, we're there, we're everywhere, but we got this, okay?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, so we're going to start with natural family planning. Natural family planning, also known as fertility awareness-based methods, is a way to prevent or achieve pregnancy by tracking a woman's natural fertility. Unlike other birth control methods, NFP does not involve the use of drugs, devices, or surgical procedures, making it an all-natural and side effect-free option. So here's the breakdown of what NFP is and the different types of how they work. It involves observing and reporting various signs of fertility throughout the woman's menstrual cycle to determine when she is most likely to conceive. By identifying these fertility days, couples can either avoid unprotected sex to prevent pregnancy or have sex to increase the chances of conception. The types of natural family planning methods. 1, the rhythm method, the calendar method, which is I think the most common one that people follow. The rhythm method involves tracking the menstrual cycle over several months to predict ovulation. Typically, ovulation occurs around day 14 of a 28-day cycle. To avoid pregnancy, couples should abstain from unprotected sex during the fertile window, which is usually from day 8 to day 19 of the cycle. 2, cervical mucus method, ovulation method. I can't even...
Yeah, man. There's all these sorts of methods.
Yeah,
I was blown away by
what we're going
this.
to talk about is the moon. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I might as well. Like, I mean,
so
we're obviously a little partial.
Yeah, I know. So this is the second type of natural family planning.
Yeah.
So this is the cervical mucus method or the ovulation method. This method requires monitoring changes in the cervical mucus throughout the menstrual cycle. During ovulation, cervical mucus becomes clear, stretchy, slippery, similar like raw egg whites if anyone needed a visual. By recording these changes daily, women can identify their most fertile days.
I'm sorry, but like, how do you notice these?
And also,
I
don't have like
I
had egg whites from it.
Yeah, no, and if I did, I don't remember. Like, you imagine?
People really have that?
But like,
If I had that, I'd be scared.
But like, how do you keep track of like? You imagine you have to keep track of all of this, dude. I have to pee in a hurry most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how am I gonna sit there?
I
and
guess
think?
if you're like planning it, I think people might use this more to get pregnant.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, cheers to being aware of your body.
Seriously.
That is like really learning your body.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I'd be deathly afraid of egg whites came out. I would go straight to my doctor.
Yeah, something's not right here.
Something's not right. So, okay. Body temperature. Okay, so
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of this.
So the BBT method involves taking the woman's temperature every morning before getting out of bed. A slight increase in temperature, about 0.5 to 1 degree Fahrenheit, indicates that ovulation has occurred. By charting these temperature changes over time, women can kind of predict their fertile days. So you also have the symptothermal method. This method combines BBT and cervical mucus methods along with other signs such as changes in cervix and secondary symptoms like breast tenderness. Using multiple indicators can provide a more accurate prediction of a fertile window. And there's apps that do this. So it asks you like all these questions.
I feel like I would be better with an app than this. Like, there's no way I'm keeping track of all of this.
Yeah, no. I don't know half the personality for this.
Me neither. And then I feel like you could easily overthink this.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
At least I would. If I had to keep track of all these things, I would easily overthink it. Like, oh, was it egg white?
Yeah.
Or was it not?
Or was it thicker?
Like,
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, whatever.
The next method is something that people go by, but it does not work. I repeat, it does not work. Okay, so this is lactational amenorrhea method. So this is basically when someone is breastfeeding, they tend to not have a period, right? They don't have a menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
You assume that you are not able to get pregnant. However, that does not work. Okay.
Just because you don't have a period.
Exactly. So this method they say that it's effective for up to 6 months postpartum. Okay. And that it provides the woman, basically provided that the woman has not resumed menstruation and is breastfeeding frequently. That does not work. Okay. It does not work.
And that's why, like, all of these family planning ones, like, you got to be very, very careful.
Like, you are taking a risk.
Yeah. You're very much taking a risk with all of these. There's no barriers. There's no chemical. There's no hormonal. Like there's nothing. You're really, really counting.
The theory is there.
Yeah, these are all theories.
The theory is there. Okay, and no, and some of these.
But you have to be very exact.
Yeah, like my mom told me, she's like, I didn't use any birth control, and that is how I remained like pregnancy free for 8 years when she just did rhythm method.
Okay.
So it does work for some people, right?
Yeah.
So, but all of these carry a risk.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Just having sex carries a risk, right?
Right.
So nothing is 100%.
Right.
So to prevent pregnancy, couples using NFP must avoid unprotected sex during the identified fertile window. This requires careful and consistent tracking of all those fertility signs that we mentioned before, and then using barrier methods like condoms during fertile days. So achieving pregnancy, conversely, couples trying to conceive that can use the NFP to identify the best days to have sex.
Exactly.
Okay, they would do that during the fertile windows and then increase their chances of a successful conception. Effectiveness and considerations. Natural family planning can be effective, but it requires diligence and accuracy. The effectiveness varies, with typical use resulting in a 24% failure rate, meaning about 1 in 4 women may become pregnant within a year. Okay, within a year. However, with perfect use, which doesn't exist.
Exactly. Okay. That's
the failure rate can be much lower. So it's important to note that NFP does not protect against sexually transmitted diseases either.
Yeah.
So in summary, natural family planning is natural and side effect free on birth control that can give you those things. Okay. But it involves tracking fertility signals to determine the best times to avoid and achieve pregnancy. It requires careful monitoring and can be an effective option for those who prefer to do it in a more natural way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It just does contain a risk, and you got to be very vigilant of your body, and you have to know your body very well too.
I don't trust that.
Yeah, me neither. I don't trust myself to know that much about me, to be honest.
No.
Anyway, emergency contraception, in short for EC, is a type of birth control that can be used after having unprotected sex to prevent pregnancy. It is different from regular birth control methods, which are used before or during sex. So EC is meant for situations like when a condom breaks, or you forget to take your birth control pills, or in cases of sexual assault. There are 2 main types of emergency contraception. So you either have the emergency contraceptive pills, ECPs, or the intrauterine devices, the IUDs. The emergency contraceptive pills have 2 main kinds. So how do you say it?
Levonorgestrel.
There you go, pills. These are hormone-based pills that contain that type of hormone. A synthetic hormone similar to the natural hormone progesterone. Common brands include Plan B, One Step, and Next Choice. These pills are available over the counter without a prescription and are most effective when taken as soon as possible after unprotected sex, ideally within 72 hours, but can be taken up to 5 days after. And then there's ulipristal acetate, or Ella. And this is a non-hormonal pill that requires a prescription. It works by blocking the hormone progesterone, which is necessary for pregnancy to occur. Ella can be taken up to 5 days after unprotected sex, and it's more effective than Levonorgestrel. There, especially after the first 3 days. Intrauterine devices, IUDs. So the copper we did, but these are emergency contraceptives.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
So it could be used. So like Evie had mentioned before, IUDs are also another form of emergency contraceptive devices. Like she had mentioned, the copper IUD, Paragard. It's the one that a healthcare provider, like all IUDs, they have to be placed by a healthcare provider. And then this one, the Paragard, uses copper. It's wrapped with a little bit of copper, and it's toxic for the sperm. So that's how it works, essentially. It could be inserted within 5 days of unprotected sex. And the copper IUD is the most effective form of emergency contraception, and it can also provide long-term birth control for up to 10 years.
All right, so how do they work? So levonorgestrel, again, is primarily preventing or delaying ovulation, which is the release of the eggs in the ovary. It may also prevent fertilization by affecting the movement of the sperm and the egg. Ulipristal acetate, so Ella. The pill works by blocking the hormone progesterone, like Julie had already explained. And then the copper IUD, like we said in our previous episode, it's going to change that environment, and it's basically going to not make the sperm successful at fertilizing. Right?
Yeah.
So important points to remember: emergency contraception is the most effective the sooner it is used after unprotected sex. It does not work if you are already pregnant and does not harm an existing pregnancy. It is not intended for regular use and should not replace birth control methods. Side effects can include changes to your menstrual cycle, nausea, and fatigue, but these are usually mild and temporary. Emergency contraception is a safe and effective way to prevent a pregnancy after unprotected sex. If you have any questions or need more information, it's best to talk to a healthcare provider. Now we're going to jump to spermicidal lubrication. So spermicidal lubrication is a type of birth control that involves using a chemical substance to prevent sperm from reaching the egg, thereby preventing a pregnancy. This method is non-hormonal and can be used alone or in combination with other contraceptive methods like condoms, diaphragms, and cervical caps, which we kind of already mentioned in our first episode. Spermicidal lubrication contains chemicals, most commonly non-opsonal 9, that immobilizes or kills sperm. These chemicals are applied inside the vagina before sexual intercourse. The primary function of the spermicides is to block the entrance to the cervix and stop sperm from swimming to the egg. Which are the types? Spermicides come in various forms, each with its own application method and duration and effectiveness. So, of course, the first ones, like with lubrications, is the gels and jellies. These are thick, they're gel-like consistency, and it's inserted into the vagina using an applicator. And then basically what it's going to do, it's going to act as immediate protection and also act as a lubricant, and it's effective for about an hour. You also have the foams. So the foams come in aerosol cans and can be applied using an applicator. So the foam is basically going to spread throughout the vagina, providing immediate protection as well. And then again, only going to last up to like an hour. You also have the films. These are thin sheets that dissolve into a gel when inserted into the vagina. And the films need to be placed at least 15 minutes before intercourse to allow time for it to dissolve and become effective. You have the suppositories. These are solid bullet-shaped forms that melt into a foam, and then once they are inserted, again, immediate protection, but they need to be placed 15 minutes before. That way it can dissolve appropriately and then spread appropriately as well. You also have sponges, right? So made from soft foam. These sponges are pre-saturated with spermicide. So basically what they're going to do is that it's going to cover the cervix, release spermicide over time, and they can be inserted up to 24 hours before intercourse and must be left in place for 6 hours after sex. I'm not sure how I feel about that foam.
That's what I'm saying. That's kind of like that's also like the cap and the
before. Comment down below what, like, or not foam, the sponge. The sponge.
Yeah, I don't
like. What happens if you can't find the sponge later?
Yeah, that doesn't.
Is your man gonna be looking for that sponge? I don't think so. So what?
Yeah, and like 6 hours later.
Yeah, like 6 hours later is like, wait, what do we need to do right now?
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure either.
Okay. So it talked about spermicidal lubrication and the effectiveness. They're more effective when used in combination with other contraceptive methods like condoms. When used alone, they are about 70 to 80% effective in preventing pregnancy. So what are some of the benefits and drawbacks? Well, for the benefits, they're non-hormonal. They're suitable for those who cannot use hormonal birth control. They're over the counter, so you don't need a prescription. And they provide additional lubrication, which provides extra comfort, I guess you could say. And, well, I don't know. They just provide extra lubrication. So, yeah. Moving on. So drawbacks, effectiveness. So they're less effective than other forms of birth control when used alone. They can cause irritation or allergic reactions in some people, so increasing the risk of infections. And they don't have STI protection. In fact, frequent use can increase the risk of STIs due to this irritation.
Where I trained, we don't consider like spermicides as a form of contraception.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it is found in other things to make it more effective. But like what we were talking about, that you need to do the spermicide on the cap, and stuff like that. It just provides an extra layer of protection.
Right.
But we never considered it as a sole form of contraception.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I guess some people do.
I guess so.
Yeah. So what are the most common misconceptions about birth control? We're going to start with that. The first one, birth control causes infertility. That's a myth. Many people believe that using birth control, especially hormonal methods like the pill or IUDs, can cause long-term infertility. The fact is that it's not true. Most women can conceive relatively quickly after stopping birth control. So hormonal contraceptives do not cause permanent infertility.
Yeah. That's a huge
Huge.
myth, and
Yeah.
I get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's scary. You never know. Well, you always think about, well, what if, right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, I know so many people that were on birth control for years,
Yep.
years. And I'm
Yep.
talking about like some of them like 8+ years.
Right.
And immediately after they stopped
Yeah.
pregnant.
I think I was. I think I was on BC for a long time before I had my kiddo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hormonal. Right now I'm not. Right now I have the Paragard, but before that it was BC pills.
Yeah.
And it took it forever, and yeah, well, I have a kid, so
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So another myth is that birth control can make you gain weight. Another huge myth.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mixed opinions on this one too, and even by professionals.
Yeah.
It's a common belief that birth control pills and other hormonal methods cause a significant weight gain. Fact. Modern low-dose hormonal birth control methods do not generally cause weight gain. Any weight changes are usually minor and temporary, often due to water retention rather than fat gain. So, yeah, okay. So when you do use birth control, right, these are hormones like progesterone, right? And then that does increase hunger, right? And that does increase water retention. So you can have some weight gain, right? Or maybe you're trying to shut off a couple buttons and it's like harder than maybe what it was before. I'm not sure about like it being temporary. I mean, what's the definition of temporary?
Yeah.
But anyways, I think most physicians say you just need to be more aware of what you're doing, your activity level, what you're eating, and all that, because most of the time you don't realize it.
Exactly. And again, it is changing and manipulating your hormones, so that it's going to affect everyone differently. You know, some people, it affects them in the fact that you get more hungry, some others, I don't know, other ways, other side effects, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So the third one, all birth control methods are hormonal, as we've gone through all of them at this point. No, there are several non-hormonal options available, such as condoms, diaphragms, copper IUDs, and spermicides. These methods can be very effective when used correctly. So yeah, that's definitely a myth.
Yeah. Another myth is that birth control protects against STIs, like we clearly mentioned in
A million
every single
times.
paragraph of this, so that no one gets confused.
Yeah.
Is that no, most birth control methods are not going to protect against STIs. The only ones that do protect against STIs is condoms. And even then, it's only for certain STIs.
Exactly.
There's other STIs that you can still get even if you use a condom.
Yep. So there's a fear that hormonal birth control can cause cancer. The fact is that while some studies suggest a slight increase in the risk of breast and cervical cancers, hormonal birth control can also reduce the risk of ovarian and uterine cancers. So the overall risk is generally low and should be discussed with a healthcare provider, not a hair care provider, healthcare provider. The Lord.
All right. Another myth is that natural methods are ineffective. Many people think that natural methods like tracking fertility and breastfeeding are not effective forms of birth control.
Breastfeeding is not.
Breastfeeding is not. We still don't. Okay. How can I rephrase it? Yes. Again, like we said before, the theory is there. Right? And in a perfect world.
That's the thing.
Okay, in a perfect world, maybe it does work, right? But also it says like for breastfeeding, it's with frequent breastfeeding. What is frequent breastfeeding?
Exactly.
Is that
Hours?
2 hours?
Right.
Is that 15 minutes, 20 minutes? Is that, what is it, right? And everyone's body is different too.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I would not, or at least the parents that talk to me about these things, I tell them, make sure that if you do not want a pregnancy, right, that you're protecting yourself. Breastfeeding does not protect against that.
Exactly.
Or at least the failure rate is high.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the next one, birth control is only for preventing pregnancy. Some believe that the only reason to use birth control is to prevent pregnancy. The fact is that birth control can also help manage menstrual symptoms, reduce acne, and treat conditions like polycystic ovary syndrome. That's the main reason why I started using birth control back when I was like in my early teens, because I had cystic acne, and that really, really helped me out big time. So it's for many other things too.
Yeah. Another myth, you don't need birth control if you're using the withdrawal method, okay? So again, withdrawal method where the man is basically going to pull out before ejaculation is often thought to be a reliable form of birth control. This method is not very effective. Pre-ejaculation fluid can contain sperm, and the timing of withdrawal perfectly is really difficult. So about 22 out of 100 women using this method will still become pregnant each year. That's a high amount. That's almost a fourth.
Yeah, this is the pull-out method.
Yeah.
For those of you that are like, what the hell is a withdrawal method? The next one is birth control methods work immediately. Some people think that birth control methods start working right away. And the fact is that the effectiveness of birth control can vary. So, for example, the copper IUD works immediately, but other methods like the pill may take up to a week to become effective. Because again, like the copper IUD, remember, it's toxic. Like the copper itself is toxic to the sperm. That's why it's going to work immediately. While hormone, it's going to take a little bit of time for your body to like work with it, you know, with that hormone that you're placing inside your body.
And then another myth is that birth control is unnecessary if you're not sexually active. If you're not sexually active, you don't need to think about birth control. That's going to be the myth. But many women actually use birth control for a ton of other reasons. Now, okay, if you're not sexually active, then okay, yeah, if you're not having sex, you're not going to get pregnant, right? So, but you don't only use that for protection, right? So
as we had mentioned,
we had already mentioned that you can use it for a lot more other things.
PCOS, acne, all those things.
So exactly.
That's why like some women are on it, even if they're abstinent or whatever it is that, you know, whatever choice they're making.
Yeah.
What are the most common forms of BC in the US today? So according to recent data in the National Survey of Family Growth with the CDC, the most common contraceptive methods currently used by women aged 15 to 49 in the US are 1, female sterilization. That's 18.1%. So this permanent method involves surgically blocking or sealing the fallopian tubes to prevent pregnancy. 2, oral contraceptive pills. So that's 14% of the population, also known as the pill. These are taken daily to prevent ovulation and thicken cervical mucus, as we had said in part 1. The third one is long-acting reversible contraceptives, so LARCs, and that's 10.4% of the population. And this category involves intrauterine devices, IUDs, and implants, which are highly effective and can last for several years. Fourth is male condoms, that's 8.4% of the population, and these barrier methods are used during intercourse to prevent sperm from reaching an egg. And the fifth is male sterilization or vasectomies, and that's 5.6% of the population. And this is a permanent method or semi-permanent, depends. Go back to our first episode so you can listen to more of us going into that. And that involves cutting or blocking the vas deferens to prevent sperm from mixing with semen and then causing pregnancy. And then the less common methods include rings, patches, injections, which account for 5% of the population, and then withdrawal or the pulling out method, fertility awareness methods, like we had said, the tracking fertile days, diaphragm, sponges, spermicides, emergency contraception. It's important to note that while female sterilization and the pill have been the top 2 methods since 1982, there have been notable increases in the use of LARCs in the recent years. So approximately 65% of the US women aged 15 to 49 currently use some form of contraception.
So what are common mistakes that people make when using condoms? So when using condoms, people often make the mistake that they can reduce their effectiveness by preventing pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases. Here are some of the most common errors. Not checking the expiration date. So condoms have an expiration date, if y'all didn't know, and it's printed on the backside of the packaging. So using an expired condom it increases the risk of breakage or failure, right? So opening the package incorrectly. Most people sometimes use sharp objects like scissors, okay, or teeth to open up the condom wrappers. And then what's going to happen is that it actually damages the condom. So it's more important to carefully open the package to avoid tearing the condom. Another mistake is putting the condom on too late. Condom should be put on before any genital contact, not just before ejaculation. Failing to do that can lead to exposure to pre-ejaculation fluid, which may contain sperm and STI-causing microorganisms. Not leaving space at the tip. Failing to pinch the tip of the condom to remove air and leave room for semen is a common mistake. Without this space, the condom is more likely to break. Putting the condoms on inside out, then flipping it. Okay. If a condom is initially placed the wrong way, it should be discarded. You just take another one.
Yeah.
Okay. Flipping it over can transfer bodily fluids and then defeat the whole entire purpose of using a condom.
Right.
Using oil-based lubricants, products like Vaseline, lotion, baby oil can degrade the latex of the condoms, causing them to break. Only watery-based or silicone-based lubricants should be used. Not holding the base during withdrawal. Failing to hold the condom at the base of the penis while withdrawing can cause it to slip off, leading to potential exposure. Reusing a condom. Who does this?
The whole reusing thing is such a...
I want you to step forward, whoever is doing this.
Or don't. Don't. Step back.
Yeah, step back.
Way back. Oh, God, no.
All right, so condoms are designed for single use only. Okay, so washing or reusing it is ineffective. Julie's freaking out right now.
Oh, it's such an ick.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a long sleeve, but you would see goosebumps. That's so
It's
gross.
pretty terrible. Yeah. All right, so storing them.
Okay.
Keep them in cool,
I
dry
thought
places.
we were still in the reusing. I'm like, you're also storing them? Oh my God, what's happening here?
No, we're talking about like storing
Okay,
them,
next
like
one,
the
yeah.
wrappers. So keeping them in your wallets or exposing them to heat or leaving them in the car.
If you're from Florida or Texas or any other southern states, don't leave it in your car. It's way too
Don't
fucking
leave it in
hot.
your car at all.
Yeah,
Okay?
don't.
Just put it, where's the box? Just put it in a drawer or something. You
I know. Use your drawers.
Yeah, seriously. And if anything, if you don't have your drawer, if you're not next to your drawer, stop at your local CVS.
Yep. There are plenty 24-hour pharmacies all over the place.
You'll be fine. You'll keep fine. Okay. Using the wrong size. Condoms that are too tight or too loose are more likely to break or slip off. Again, it's just increasing the chances of it not working effectively. By being aware of these common mistakes and taking the steps to avoid them, you can greatly improve your effectiveness of condoms at preventing unintended pregnancies or the spread of STIs. All very important things.
Yes. All of this talk reminded me of, there was this Netflix documentary that I had seen like several years ago, and it scarred me for life. And I think it was The Bleeding Edge. That's what it's called on Netflix. And in one of the many things, because it was about the medical devices or medical implants and all these things that have caused issues like for people, right? Mm-hmm. One of them is Essure, was Essure.
Okay.
And that's why I'm naming like this little snippet, that's the end of this episode pretty much, the Essure shit show, because that's what I remember it as. And yeah, let's go into that for a little bit. And I really recommend you guys watching The Bleeding Edge. It's talking about...
I feel like every Netflix documentary
So good.
has been so good.
This one was amazing. It's several years old.
Yeah.
Great. It also talked about, I think it was like a hip replacement or a knee replacement. Mm-hmm. So it was like the metal or the... whatever it was that it was used for that joint replacement. There was also talked about that, so it wasn't only on Essure, but Essure was the one that like really, I remember that. Yeah, I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so the Essure shit show. So Essure was a permanent birth control device that was approved by the FDA in 2002. It consisted of two small metal coils that were inserted into the fallopian tubes through the vagina and the uterus. Over time, scar tissue would form around the coils, blocking the fallopian tubes and preventing pregnancy. However, the device became controversial due to reports of serious side effects experienced by some women, and these side effects included persistent pain in the pelvic or abdominal area, perforation of the uterus or fallopian tubes, migration of the device to other parts of the body, allergic reactions to the metal, which was nickel, in the device.
What? I'm like, what?
Girl,
All these things, I'm like being scarred right now. I never saw this Essure situation.
you need to watch this documentary.
Has no one ever taught anyone about a nickel allergy?
There we go.
What? Okay.
Yep.
And also, why in the fallopian tubes? The fallopian tubes are so fragile.
Girl.
You know, like that. Okay. Anyways.
I'm telling you, it's so many years ago, and I still remembered it enough to include it here.
Seriously.
All right, so allergic reactions to the nickel, like I had mentioned, unintended pregnancies, irregular bleeding, or heavier periods. So thousands of women reported adverse events to the FDA, and many had to undergo surgery to remove the device. So remember, to insert the device, there was no surgery needed. It went through the vagina.
Yeah.
Now,
it's kind of like the way that the IUD goes in, but just further into the fallopian tube.
Way further.
Which I'm like,
I don't know how.
heavily breathing while saying that.
Yep. Because it's two.
That to me is asking for a perf.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it was two. It's for the two sides, like the fallopian tubes. You have more than one.
Oh my goodness.
And these are coils.
Yeah.
Okay. They're like little nickel coils. Yeah.
I'm getting chills. Okay.
It's intense. Okay. So Thousands of women reported adverse events to the FDA, and many had to undergo surgery to remove the device. In 2016, the FDA ordered Bayer, the manufacturer of Essure, to conduct additional studies on the device's safety and effectiveness. In 2018, facing mounting litigation and declining sales, Bayer announced that it would discontinue sales of Essure in the United States by the end of that year. The company maintained that the decision was made for business reasons and not due to safety concerns.
Sure.
Essure, sure. I had to say it.
Yeah.
Pun.
Sure.
Anyway, however, critics argued that Essure had not been sufficiently tested before its approval and that the FDA had been slow to respond to the reports of these complications. Some also raised concerns about the close relationship between Bayer and some of the doctors who promoted the device.
Of course.
As 2019 Essure is no longer available for implantation in the US, the FDA continues to monitor adverse events reported related to the device and has required Bayer to extend its post-market surveillance study to gather more long-term data on Essure's safety. The Essure controversy highlights the importance of carefully weighing the risks and benefits of any medical device and the need for robust post-market surveillance to identify potential safety issues. It also underscores the challenges that patients and regulators face in making informed decisions about new and complex medical technologies. So like I said, check out the Bleeding Edge documentary on Netflix for way more on this. This was just a very small snippet because this was like, it interviewed people, women with these that still have them, that still suffer with huge, massive complications, horrific complications on it.
Just take them out.
They explain it. Some people, yeah, they do surgeries, and others, it's a whole thing.
Wow.
It's a whole thing.
Man.
Yeah. And then the latest.
Yeah, so
We'll finish
we're gonna
with that.
mention it here, and we mentioned it in our recap episode, but now we're gonna talk about new male birth control. So this is a huge milestone.
Yeah.
So recent developments in male birth control have shown promising results, particularly the new hormonal gel. This is basically going to be a summary on kind of the latest news and how it works. So the new male birth control gel is a topical product that men apply daily to their shoulders. It contains two hormones, nesterone, which is a type of progestin, and testosterone. Nesterone works by signaling the brain to stop production of sperm, while the added testosterone ensures that men maintain normal bodily functions and sexual health, right? So part of the problem, one, they didn't get funding for it. Two, part of the problem was that if you are suppressing the sperm count or anything related to that, then it was going to affect their sex drive. So that was another reason why there was not a lot of
Traction for those,
traction for this. Exactly. So how does it work? So men are going to apply the gel to their shoulders. The nesterone in the gel is going to suppress the sperm production by creating feedback loop in the brain, while the testosterone maintains normal levels of the hormone in the body. And then studies have shown that the gel can significantly reduce sperm counts to levels low enough to prevent pregnancy. In the trials, 86% of men had their sperm counts drop below the threshold needed to prevent pregnancy within 15 weeks of daily use. So current status in the trials. The clinical trials, the gel is currently in advanced clinical trials. Researchers are optimistic about its effectiveness and safety. The trials involve hundreds of couples worldwide, and the results so far have been really encouraging. Safety and side effects. Participants have reported minimal side effects such as slight weight gain and increased libido. Importantly, the gel does not cause severe mood swings or other side effects that some female hormones, contraceptives, can cause. And the reversibility. One of the key benefits of this gel is that it's reversible.
Yeah.
So when men stop using the gel, their sperm counts return to normal within a few months, allowing them to regain their fertility.
Yeah.
And then future prospects. So next steps, researchers are gonna be preparing for a larger phase 3 trial, which is necessary before the gel can even be approved for public use. This trial will involve more participants and will further test the gel's effectiveness and safety. If the phase 3 trial is successful and the gel receives approval from the regulatory bodies like the FDA, the most common, it could become available to the public within a few years, and then this would mark a significant milestone in male contraception, providing men with reliable and reversible birth control options. So imagine if females are on birth control and
male.
then I mean, it's just going to add another layer of protection and unwanted pregnancies.
Absolutely.
Okay. So why is this important? Shared responsibility, kind of like we just mentioned right now. The development of male birth control options and the gel can help share the responsibility of preventing pregnancies between men and women. Currently, most contraceptive methods are designed for just women. The gel really represents a step towards more balanced reproductive health responsibilities. With more contraceptive options available, couples can choose a method that best suits their needs and preferences, leading to better overall reproductive health and family planning. All in all, the new male birth control gel is a promising development that could really soon provide men with a safe, effective, and reversible way to prevent pregnancy. Researchers are hopeful that with continued support and successful trials, this gel will become a widely available contraceptive option. I'm happy that we kind of ended on new things in the contraceptive world.
Yeah.
And it shows it's pretty promising. And I think that's going to be more attractive to men because really now, even though vasectomies are reversible.
Yeah. But they're not.
It's still scary for people.
And then also, like,
And it costs.
that's what I was gonna say. Like,
reverse it.
and another thing is, if I were a man and you're dating around, whatever it is that you're doing with your life, now you don't have to like solely rely on believing the woman. Oh yeah, I took BC. Not even believing the woman, because it could be like, oh, maybe she forgot to take her BC pill. Now you don't have to worry about that.
Shared responsibility.
Exactly. Now you don't have to worry about, crap, she forgot to take her BC pill, or no, she was not a whatever. Now you could handle that. You could have your own autonomy to that, you know? So I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect your libido, which is super important for men.
Like an adolescent boy, I'd be like working in.
Oh my God. With that more, I'm going to be like,
Got some sunscreen.
yeah, it's like, as he sleeps,
Yeah.
stop it. I'm like, I'm giving you a massage. Just keep
Just apply
sleeping.
it,
Yeah. Oh my God. You better believe I'm going to have MR on that like immediately. Immediately.
I'm sure moms out there are like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's for damn sure. I'm glad that it's happening now, that he's 5 years old. So when 10 years from now, 15, perfect. Perfect timing.
Thank you, science.
Yes, thank you, science. Anyway, yeah, so that was part 2 of birth control. I hope you guys liked it. We definitely needed to break this down because it was like way too much of a monstrosity.
I think we did a great job.
I think so too, you know.
Another thing, if anyone needs any information on contraception, anything related to that, there is a website called bedsider.org. So bedsider.org. It's all evidence-based medicine. You can also read a lot of commentary from people that use different types of contraception. And it's just everything that has to do with sex ed. So STIs, miscarriages, abortions, and all these things, protection. It's, of course, really, really good information.
Yeah.
And I always recommend for people to do not only their own research, but make sure that they're getting good research and evidence-based research.
Don't get your research from TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you know.
Yeah, not to discredit like some people. I think there's people out there that are like really getting out some good information. But then there's other people that I'm like,
So that's why, like, back it up with reputable sources.
robust evidence.
So if you hear something on any social media like outlet that you're like, oh, that's interesting, I want to know more about it. Okay. Look it up, you know. Don't just, what I'm saying is don't just solely rely on social media for that information.
Websites that you can go to.
100%.
CDC is another place that you can
Planned
go
Parenthood.
to. Planned Parenthood is another one.
Yeah.
But yes, the Bedsider is usually one that's it's a very easy read for people. So.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/funny medicine podcast. Join the community there. Thank you all Patreon patrons. Anything whatever you guys want to call it yourselves. You guys keep us going and talk to us. If you have any suggestions for like future episodes, topics, anything like that, we're on every form of social media. Find us there. We'd love to hear from you guys. We love hearing from you guys, period. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one. Bye.